If we weren't healthy, fit males in their prime, we would have died of a heart attack in that moment. In your prime, you say?
And that's what peak male performance looks like!
Hey dude, welcome back to ReddX. Today we've got probably the best story ever written in a Greentext format. I think it's like some mushy, lovey-dovey stuff, but I don't know. We'll have to check it out. This is my story, Be me. 19-year-old college freshman. This was 10 years ago. I had this bro from high school, Pete. We were friends, but not exactly bros. He was a cool guy, and I think I was cool to him. Turns out we applied to the same college and enrolled, going to the same classes, so we're practically spending all of our time together. Away from your family, with your high school life behind you, things can get pretty hectic. Yeah, you're horny teenagers with no problems to deal with, but you still need a friend that you can depend on. And we were that friend to each other. True enough, no man's an island. Fast forward a couple of months. Second semester, we start taking this new class, and there's this girl in the class. Not just us, but every fucking human being with a working dick on the entire campus is losing their minds over her. Ordinary straight girls are ready to go lesbian just for her. I mean, man, wow, what an angel? Beam of light? Deus ex machina descending from heaven? I have no fucking idea. A value over 10 is a measurement that applies to us mere mortals. Her beauty cannot be calculated or properly abstracted with mere numbers, and looking at her is like something that you know you shouldn't do. Not because it's creepy or socially awkward or something like that, but it's because you feel that you're not worthy. Not for her. You're not. No, not her. Well, gosh, OP, why don't you invite me into your own psyche? But yes, of course, we all were looking. Turns out we first saw her practically at the same time, and we wanted to point her to one another, but we couldn't take our eyes off of her. So we sat in some lousy economy class or whatever and drooled over her for half an hour before I whispered, "Dude, fuck me." And it took Pete a solid 5 minutes before he could simply say, "Yeah." There she was, this 5'9" lady with long, wavy auburn hair and emerald green eyes to die for, and pretty sure to kill for, sitting just a couple of feet away from us. Yeah, so fuck me was the correct response in that situation. Pick is unrelated, that's just a random chick. So, after the class, to this day, I can't for the life of me remember what the hell it was about, we were already orbiting her, like some lousy asteroids sucked into a massive black hole, creepily getting closer and closer to her as she sucked us in, bumping into each other and walking like we were drunk and out of our minds. Yeah, those hormones are a hell of a thing. I don't know what it was. Maybe she realized that we were following her like pervs, or maybe it was something else. Halfway to the cafeteria, she just stopped and turned towards us. We comedically bumped into each other and stopped as well. You're like the Three Stooges over here. Her beauty was so miraculous that we forgot to look ashamedly somewhere else. I remember her gaze. It was like the back of our heads blew open and brains splattered all over the hallway. Those green eyes, man. And she smiled. She fucking smiled. If we weren't healthy, fit males in their prime, we would have died of a heart attack in that moment. In your prime, you say?
And that's what peak male performance looks like!
We couldn't breathe. This woman was so beautiful. So there we were, still staring at her, our eyes and mouths wide open. We were in our low, way low, 2-digit IQs at that moment, and there she was, in all of her glory. Like I said, 5'9", long, wavy auburn hair, emerald green eyes, long, curvy, athletic legs, slimmer at the knees, well-defined muscles on her calves, and soft but rigid thighs. Her ankles were so elegant. This is getting so weird and overly specific, but go off, I guess. But her tendons were sprained, as if she were a wild gazelle, ready to bolt out at a moment's notice. Her butt? I can't call it an ass. Not hers. An ass is what other girls have. This lady had something else. She had buttocks that required a new definition of the word. You might be overselling it a little bit. Poop still comes out of there, I guarantee it. They were so firm and well-shaped, you could perfectly calculate for pi if you took measurements. Her breasts, I don't even have the words. To this day, I am still searching for the right words, and I will try and describe them later in the story, but I will fail terribly. Hey, she's gonna whip them out! Maybe that's what we're gonna stay strapped in for, right? I can still remember what she was wearing that day. I know what she was wearing probably better than her on the day that she wore them, and I know this because Pete knew this. It's like a Fight Club reference right there.
I know this because Tyler knows this.
After she looked at us and smiled, just for a few seconds, which felt like an eternity, she turned around again and kept on walking. We just stayed put. We couldn't follow her. Our black hole left us lonely asteroids to the pitch black emptiness of cold space. So, after school, we went to our dorm room with no information about her whatsoever. No name, no nothing, just a mental image of her elegant stance etched deep into our minds. I was looking at pictures of random women with green eyes and auburn hair on Yahoo. That was the only thing that I could do, but none of the images even came close to matching her beauty. Well, Pete felt like he had to do something, and he started searching for her clothes. I shit you not. Bro, y'all are both in college, and this seems like some really creepy high school type of shit, so I'm gonna give you a pass, but also I just thought I should let you know. This is all really weird. I can't sign off on any of it. Pete was searching for her clothes on Amazon and eBay and all these fashion and shopping sites neither of us ever knew anything about before. He started with searching for her skirt, which was this black wool cashmere circle shirt with a playful flare at the bottom, a couple inches above her knees, revealing her thighs just a little bit. When he found it, he shouted, "I found it! Fuck yeah!" That'll look perfect on you, Pete. I love the playful flare at the bottom. That's really nice. And I thought that he had found her, but when I saw what he had found, which was this, I don't know what brand skirt on Amazon, I was far from being disappointed. I was feeling the same way. We didn't know her name, but fuck if we didn't know what skirt she was wearing. All right. The smallest possible victory. We're taking that. Pete kept going with the search, and I helped him. At the end of the night, we knew what flats she was wearing, what shirt. We even knew what brand her red, bow-shaped hair clip was. I mean, look, we're straight guys. Citation needed. I figure I'm a 7 out of 10, maybe 8. Pete's an easy 8 out of 10, pushing 9. We're both fit. We don't have ugly pimples on our face or anything. We're both very decent. We're not short or chubby, and although we were not the most popular kids in high school, we were definitely not social outcasts either. Alright, whatever you gotta tell yourself, man. He's like, please believe me. But that night, we were more gay than a male fashion design student wearing pink dungarees and coming out of the closet singing YMCA. That's pretty gay. And we knew what skirt she was wearing. So, yeah. And before we went to sleep, Pete had an idea. He had the most excellent idea.
Excellent!
Pete knew that he needed an extra something if he was ever going to talk to her, let alone date her. And so he decided he should start learning about fashion and use his knowledge as a conversation starter. Meanwhile, I was feeling like I could go to Mars with the new Apollo mission or save the world from a new Nazi regime all by myself, and I still wouldn't be able to impress her. I was completely hopeless. Next morning, the first thing Pete did was to enroll in a class on fashion design. Pete didn't know if his tactics were going to work. Pete's going to discover some things about himself, I'll tell you that. Pete didn't know if this magnificent creature would deign to speak fashion with him, but he had hopes. Meanwhile, we were both unable to speak to her. We were just a bunch of beta gaylords scared out of our minds. But we did learn her name from a friend. Ella. Ella was her name. Pete didn't want to waste his chances in leaving the perfect first impression with Ella. Well, the first impression that both of us had left was us standing in the middle of the hallway, staring at her like we were some mentally deficient perverts. But speaking to her was a different matter altogether. I figured if Pete had no chance of talking to her now, well, how could I? Besides, Pete was so in the zone, I didn't want to compete. Not that I could, or so I believed. Fast forward a couple of weeks. Pete, as a freshman, knew more about fashion than seniors knew about economy in our department. He was spending his nights browsing fashion blogs. Every night, he would come to our room with a list of items that she was wearing that day, studying her taste in fashion. Pete told me that this could actually work. I mean, it's a lot of legwork, but yeah, I guess it could. Since while a lot of the girls on campus dressed like trailer trash, Ella was always amazing in her choice of clothes. It's a bit too over the top, man. I gotta say, OP and Pete come across as fucking weird. So our room was filled with editions of Vogue and GQ and crap. A couple of our friends had seen our stash of fashion magazines and they joked about it. So we made a lousy explanation of how they were totally just, quality fapping material. And we got away with it. Is this in a time before the internet? What the hell is this? One day Pete woke up and turned to me. "I'm ready," he said, like Neo saying, "I know Kung Fu." And I said, "Show her." It's good cringe. But the pain train is only just leaving the station. Anyway, Pete decided that whatever she's wearing that day, he felt like he could intelligently talk to her about clothes. After the economy class, I wished him luck, and we parted ways. An hour later, he found me, and I asked him, how did it go? "I don't know, man. I really don't know. I mean, I might have done great or fucked it up completely." "Why?" "Look, we talked fashion for an hour." "So you talked for an hour. That's great, man." "Damn, we really were some beta bitches." "Yeah, but what if she thinks that I'm gay?" I started laughing. Pete had a point. Straight guys don't usually talk about fashion. How could you not foresee this in your months of pre-planning? Y'all stupid. And straight guys certainly didn't talk about women's fashion at that. Suddenly, Ella comes out of nowhere. I froze. Pete looked at me and understood that Ella was coming our way. "Hey, Pete," and I heard Ella's voice for the first time. She had a crackly, deep voice. Kind of reminds me of Scarlett Johansson now. A lot of people don't think that kind of voice is flattering, but if you found me a soprano that sings Agnes Day, I would have told you, shut that woman up and let Ella sing. It's that smoky voice, that sultry voice. Pete says, "Hey, Ella," his heart probably skipping a couple of beats. "I remembered now. I got it from Anthropology." I have absolutely no idea what she's talking about. "Oh, thanks." "Don't mention it. It's from last season, though. I don't think you could buy it for your sister, but they might have something similar." "Oh, well, thank you for telling me, Ella." "You're welcome. See you around, Pete." "See ya, Ella." And we watched Ella walking away from us gracefully until she disappeared in the distance, still looking at her general direction as if we could still see her. "Dude, your sister's 7. "Yeah, I know." And then I presume they both sigh heavily here because it's just ellipses. "Oh, she is..." "Yeah, I know." "Magnificent." A week later, Pete had another idea. In order to not look like a gay couple, he suggested that we develop this manly handshake.
Hey, what's up? Alright, peace out.
Cool, that'll keep you safe. And this would establish that we are, in fact, bros. So like a couple of idiots, we stayed up all night, working out this complex yet subtle, or so we thought, secret handshake. Our stupidity was at an immeasurable new height. I mean, that's true, but it's really entertaining. Pete was chatting up Ella little by little every day, but he was afraid of becoming a gay BFF and losing all chances of dating her. So he requested me to approach them tomorrow at some point mid-conversation and then apply the handshake.
Head on, apply directly to the forehead. Head on, apply directly to the forehead.
Okay then. So after our economy class, I gave Pete some time and then I joined them in the cafeteria. As I approached them, Pete saw me coming. He excused himself like a true boss gentleman, and then we started acting out this ridiculous handshake in unison. I mean, it was absolute bullshit. Hands and fingers everywhere clicking and fist bumping and doing all this other various stuff. Yeah, sliding. Don't forget the sliding. It was like the douchebag version of Cirque du Soleil. Halfway through, yeah, it was that long that it almost needed an interlude. Ella starts laughing her ass off. She was laughing like a crazy person. I mean, it is funny. We freeze. The blood drains away from Pete's face. Pale as fuck. We realized that we had just messed up. We had messed this up immensely, and we force ourselves to turn and face Ella. She's trying to silence herself, still laughing. Pete and I still holding hands like idiots. She then tries to apologize for her laughter, but it only makes her laugh even louder. We look around and hope that no other person has acknowledged how dumb we look. Fortunately, no one other than Ella is laughing, but Ella is still laughing. Hate to say I told you so, but told you so. Pete has this is how I die type of face. I'm all goodbye world.jpg. Ella's laughter finally dies down, and we are looking at her like rabbits caught in headlights. Guys, I know you're not gay. And then she starts laughing again. Pete looks like he's about to shit his pants, and I don't know what it was. Maybe I just started losing my nerve, or maybe it was like a chain reaction to Ella's laughter. I started laughing my ass off as well. That manly handshake started playing out in my head over and over again, and I began to imagine myself doing the handshake and realized how completely idiotic it must have looked. Pete then starts laughing as well. All three of us just cry laughing at this point. Now people really are looking at us like, WTF. And that was how I met Ella. We finally sit down. I'm still chuckling like an ape. I extend my hand towards Ella and say, "Hi, I'm Anon." She firmly grabs my hand. My God, her hands are beautiful. Long, slender fingers embrace my hairy man paws like the branches of a delicate flower. She has a very cold touch, almost freezing, but at the same time, it is such an awakening feeling. I can feel the hairs on my forearm rising. "Hi, Anon. I'm Ella," she responds with a warm smile and an incredibly sharp, piercing gaze. Her spellbinding green eyes are filled with both an "I got you now" attitude and an older sister's love. I melt. You really are sprung as hell, OP. You got mommy issues or something? That's what's going on here? Ella says, "How long did you guys practice that stupid handshake for?" And we started blushing like 5-year-old kids. "All night," Pete answers as silently as possible. Ella claps her hand and pops a loud chuckle. "I knew it," waving her finger towards us. "You guys are so insecure," Pete grumbles. "Oh, it's so cute," she puts on a funny face, pouting her spectacular pink lips. I'm losing my grasp on the English language right about now. Well, guys, I know you're not gay, but you are definitely homophobic. Well, we're not. I tried to defend myself futilely. Oh, it's okay, Anon, she smiles. I can understand that feeling. Pete must be losing his mind. He just sits there, trying to find a way to regain his composure. Oh, come on, Pete. I knew you would feel uneasy talking to me about fashion. Pete looks shocked. He doesn't understand how he could be sidelined so bad. But he tries to make a case, which I assume he has none. It's really okay, Pete. I can sense that you've been working on fashion, makes a finger quote, for some time. Oh, fuck that gif. Yeah, you're a newbie. She's been doing this for decades. You're out of your depth. You think she can't tell? She can tell. Our jaws are sweeping the floor. How? Pete mumbles. Seriously? I know about your fashion class and your room full of fashion magazines. Ella winks at Pete. I'm about to lose my shit. Pete looks like he's been shot by Cupid's .50 cal machine gun. He is crushing hard, madly in love. How did you know? OP asks, since apparently Pete can't come to the phone right now. Well, first of all, I have a friend in Pete's fashion class. And also, some of your chums were talking about your stash and I overheard them. Pete silently mouths, fuck me. But most of all, Pete, I can see that you are new to the fashion world. Where did I go wrong? Pete must have been losing his hope at this point. Well, a fashionista, how can I put it, must look more fashionable, don't you think? Ella was right. Granted, Pete didn't walk around wearing shitty flip-flops and baggy sweatpants, but he wasn't exactly a fashion icon either. What's wrong with flip-flops and sweatpants? No, I get it. It's gross, and I love it. Pete looked like he was about to burst into tears. Besides, your fashion sense has no context. A person who's deeply involved in any subject always speaks in some form of context. Yep, nailed that right down. The veterans can always tell. As Ella talks about Pete's failure, I feel both incredibly sad and incredibly turned on. Sad boner. Maybe I'm not from a family or a place where there are a lot of smart women around, or maybe I was just a dumb homophobic, or maybe even a sexist bastard. Who thinks that all women learn about everything in life by furiously banging Ken and Barbie dolls into each other during their childhood? Isn't that how it works? But I'll be damned if this magnificent woman isn't also smart. Hey, it's okay, Pete. Ella sees Pete cringing like a puckered butthole. I know why you did it, and you have nothing to be ashamed of. Pete lightens up like someone stuck a needle full of adrenaline into his chest. Meanwhile, I am lost in Ella's eyes, studying her beautiful face as she talks. So I'm going to give you your chance. Go ahead. Ask. Ask what? Pete shits the bed. Ella tilts her head and gives him a really face, and Pete comes around. Gains his composure like a champ for the first time during this conversation. Well, do you want to grab a cup of coffee with me after school? Ella smiles at him and playfully nods with her eyes closed. I would love that, Pete. And she chuckles. And I sit there like some kind of beta male thinking of asking, can I come too? Ella is beyond words to me. I feel stupid and powerless near her. Thank you. Pete barely makes any sense. I can't imagine being in his place right now. Getting the green light from Ella after believing that he screwed this up so bad? Ella laughs playfully and changes the subject. So we sat there and talked about our lives and how we knew each other for an hour, and I was able to get to know Ella, even if it was for a little bit, but it was an amazing experience. Doesn't the fact that most of this is built on physical attraction cheapen it a little bit for you? I'm sort of the same way, but I like to think that I'm not this creepy about it. A couple of weeks later, Pete and Ella were a happy couple. I've never seen Pete so happy. He was over the clouds all the time. The guy was out of his mind. counting seconds for their next date every time he kissed Ella goodbye. And I was happy for my bro. But at the same time, I couldn't help but feel uneasy every time I saw Ella. Ella was still the most amazing woman that I have ever seen in my life. Nothing came remotely close to matching her beauty, not to mention her wits, and speaking to her was more fun than I could ever have doing anything else, and I was trying extremely hard not to fall for her. I owed that to my bro and to myself. Fortunately, Ella came to my aid. She introduced her friend Nicole to me. Nicole was the girl in Pete's fashion class, the girl that Ella was talking about, and Nicole was also an incredibly beautiful girl. She was this amazing redhead, 5'6", big soft tiggle bitties, nice curvy body, pale blue eyes, cute little freckles on her face. You would think that a beautiful girl like Ella wouldn't be BFFs with another beauty like Nicole, and 9 out of 10 times, you would be right. But the truth was, Ella had no competition. She was beyond competition. Okay, well, don't tell Nicole that, I guess. Ella could have been friends with the biggest bimbo there ever was. Or she could have been hanging out with the fucking Swedish bikini team. She could have been sleepwalking in her PJs on a Victoria's Secret catwalk at a New Year's show for all I care. No matter the situation, Ella was always the one that you looked at first. But yeah, Nicole was a bombshell too. And she was something else entirely. Well, you don't talk as reverently about Nicole. What happened? She stab you? Redheads, man. Get you every time. So the four of us started hanging out together. Started going to the parties, hanging out after school, going to the movies, and slowly Nicole and I got very close. She had an amazing sense of humor, knew about a lot of subcultures and shit. Finally, after a night out together, Pete and Ella decided to go to Ella's room by themselves. Turns out, Ella's roommate was back at home for a family emergency or something like that, and Nicole and I kissed. Soon after that, we officially became a couple. After what felt like an eternity, I wasn't interested in Ella as much. It felt good, not feeling like cheating on my bro. Nicole was also amazing in bed. In all things related to sex, she was a dream come true. The fantasies that she was into were mind-boggling. The things she wore to turn me on, stockings, garter belts, schoolgirl outfits, surprising me with wake-up BJs after a long night of banging it out. Oh, Lord. I mean, that's the upside of redheads, until they stab you. Some nights I would think, how the fuck am I supposed to regain my sexual appetite after this? A couple of hours later, there she was again, wearing something ridiculously sexy, doing things that you could lose your mind for. The places we banged, the positions we tried. It was pure pornographic smut. I felt like half of my daily diet was being used for producing semen, and she wouldn't use condoms either. No, sir. Oh boy. Where's the fun in that? She asked me the first time we were about to have sex. She sucked my dick like a vacuum and swallowed everything, smiling like a sassy high school girl, always wanting more and more. Sassy high school girl? Bruh. Please don't. It's a good thing that I was fit and young. You can't do some of the things that she asked for when you're 29. I would eat her out until I couldn't feel my tongue. She was queen of multiple orgasms. There was no stopping until she said enough. Her sexual needs were so immense that I had a hard time satisfying her, but I was scared shitless if there would come a time when I was simply not enough. But yeah, she was loyal and honest as hell. Never even flirted with other guys, let alone cheated on me. I was really skeptical at first. It's a complete opposite of what you might expect. I somehow raised the issue with a delicate yet curious manner. Don't do that, OP. Hey, can I expose my insecurities early in this relationship? Yeah, I'd really prefer if you didn't. I was treading lightly. I didn't want to offend her. You're mine, Anon, and I'm yours, is what she told me. Nothing will change that until such a time comes that we both decide otherwise, she would furiously declare. If there ever was a woman made out of wife material, Nicole was the ultimate prototype. Her understanding of a relationship was beyond belief, and her connection to me was unbreakable. She was so incorruptible. She would straight up hit the guys trying to chat her up in their faces. "You come near me again, I swear to God, I'll use my boyfriend like a retractable baton and fuck you in the ass with him." That's an actual quote that I heard her shout at some poor kid. Holy friggin' hell. And there I was, standing around like some beta who just won the lottery, my diamond hard dick pulsating to her commanding voice. And then she kisses me like there's no tomorrow, finds an empty room in a house full of partying people, hangs my sock on the doorknob, and fucks my brains out. Yeah, that was Nicole in a nutshell. Good times, until you get stabbed. So, I've never imagined that there would be trouble in paradise, but come summertime, something else happened. My dad asked one of his old friends in LA for an internship position on my behalf. Thanks, Dad. His friend accepted me to his firm, and while everyone was having a great time, I was supposed to work at the accounting department of this design office in LA. This meant that I wasn't going to spend my summer satisfying Nicole or doing anything fun for that matter. Before she went to the airport, Nicole kissed me as if we weren't going to see each other again, like ever. "Don't forget who you belong to, mister," she told me with tearful eyes. "I won't, Nicole. I promise." Man, the love and the care that this girl had shown me was something else. Even though I told her numerous times that I loved her, and I meant it, I had this feeling that my love for her didn't even come close to what she felt towards me. "You take care of yourself, you hear?" And she left, hesitantly walking backwards to her bus to the airport. Pete had already gone home the previous weekend, so I was all by myself, walking around in this college ghost town. On my way back to the dorm, wanting to pack my stuff up ASAP and get ready for my flight to LA, there she was, walking towards me. Ella. "Hey, suppin' on," she greeted me with a warm smile. "Hey, Ella, I sent off Nicole." "Oh, you guys, she cried, right?" With a snappy laugh. "I know she cried." "Well, you know her, right? She loves you, Anon, that's why." Ella reached out and stroked my arm, showing that she cared. For the first time in a while, I suddenly felt a jolt, a rush. It was like the first time when I saw her up close. As her cold hands brushed my skin, my pupils dilated, like that first sip of morning coffee. A surge of a small dose of adrenaline hit my body. I quickly broke out of her spell. I had to. "So, where are you off to, Ella?" "Oh, I'm leaving tomorrow morning, off to see my parents in LA. "What?" We might be on the same flight." That was the most sexually neutral thing that I could think of at that time. "Are you serious? What are you doing in LA?" Ella asked with a delighted curiosity, her big green eyes glimmering with excitement. "I have this job that my dad arranged for me. I'm not exactly going there for vacation," I pout. "Oh, don't worry, Anon. I'll keep you company. It'll be fine, I promise," cheerfully reassuring me, and my heart skipped a beat. Well, this is called Kismet, my friend, but I still gotta feel kinda bad for Pete. Heh, that rhymes. Before I could say anything, "Oh, look at the time. I gotta go now, but hey, see you in LA, if not earlier." Ella winked at me. She waved and started walking in the other direction. After mumbling some non-intelligible verbal expressions like, "Yeah, hey, what? Oh." I waved at her, and I watched her disappear around the corner. And as I was trying to make sense of what had just happened, Nicole's teary-eyed face kept coming back into my mind. I felt like a complete asshole. What the fuck am I so excited about? I mean, Ella is my bro's girlfriend. She's BFFs with my girlfriend, so what the fuck am I thinking? Why am I suddenly feeling awkward again? I tried not to think about it, and I started walking away. Next morning was even harder for me. We were on the same bus to the airport, and when it was time to check into our flight, we were side by side. Naturally, you can't ask to be seated elsewhere when the person you're trying to avoid is right next to you. I couldn't believe that I was thinking about being seated elsewhere too. Ella was not only a friend, she was also the one person that I had to think of almost as a sister. I kept texting Nicole to make sure that I was okay, reminding myself of who I belonged to, quote unquote. I was scared, but it wasn't helping at all. Acting like everything is all right, I boarded the plane with Ella. After chatting for a bit with Ella, she fell asleep. After some time, I did too. When I woke up, her head was on my shoulder, and my head was on her head. Her fragrant hair was all over my face. She smelled like vanilla and berries. Her gorgeous scent was so enchanting that I started getting the strangest boner of my life. Yeah, it's not me being a weirdo, it's just the shampoo. I was unsure about what to do. Do I slowly back off? Do I keep leaning against her head and savor the moment? What the hell am I thinking? Why is this an issue? Now, I know there must be a lot of you out there calling me a little beta boy, but if bros before hoes doesn't apply here, then where else? The only thing that I was able to do was raise my head out of her hair and sit upright as best I could. I couldn't bring myself to pull away from her, and then, as if things couldn't get any worse, she mumbled in her sleep and put her hand on my chest, embracing me as if she was sleeping next to Pete. Her beautiful hand was lightly hanging on my shirt, her cold fingertips gently grazing my bare chest. God, this is torture. The universe works in some funny ways, man. You get put through some tests. Pete's voice was ringing in my ears. I love her, man. I fucking love her. The time he told me at a party, watching Ella from the other side of the room, with an admiration and love that I hadn't seen on any man's face before. And then I remembered Nicole again, and the discernment and the loyalty that she had displayed time and again in the face of temptation. God, I truly felt like shit. Concentrated, WC clogging brick of shit. An excruciating hour later, she woke up. She blinked her eyes rapidly as she tried to sober up, and yawned and stretched. I was losing my mind to the sight of her delicate body. As every muscle on her body vibrated and contracted, I was trying to force myself to look away, not notice her, but I physically couldn't. She looked at me with her sleepy green eyes. Oh, sorry, Anon, I get very untidy in my sleep, she chuckled. No worries, I tried to match her chuckle nervously. Shortly after that, we landed. Her parents came to welcome her. She introduced me to them, and they were really nice people, super warm and welcoming. Her mom, after learning that I was going to be alone in LA, invited me to their place. I kindly declined their invitation, telling them that my father had already rented an apartment for me. Well, next week. You must come at least have dinner with us then, Ella ordered. Okay then, deal. I accepted her offer with a million questions and ideas racing in my mind. Shortly after, we parted ways. I called Nicole and talked to her for an hour, trying to remind myself of who I am. No, who you are, OP, has been fully displayed. You're trying to remind yourself of who you're supposed to be. What a tangled web we weave. I also texted Pete, telling him about how Ella and I were on the same flight to LA. I hated myself for feeling that an explanation was necessary. Hey, Pete, don't worry, buddy. My dick wasn't fully erect the whole time she was sleeping on my shoulder, sort of thing. It only got hard when she started stretching her muscles. It's aight. Fuck. Yeah, this is not gonna end well. I guarantee you that. You're in a good position. Why do you want to firebomb it for no reason? OP continues, I settled at home. I met people at work. It's boring, but it's okay. I'm in LA. Lots of things to do. Lots of free time when I'm not working 9 to 5. And it's only part-time, so I only work 3 days a week. A week later, Ella picks me up from work. And we went to her house like I had promised. Everything went better than expected, .jpg. Her parents are really cool. Lots of drinking, talking, joking around. She has a younger brother, Jake. He's 11. He's a nerd, but he's handsome in the same way that Ella is beautiful. Little man is definitely on his way to becoming a motherfucking 10 out of 10 alpha. I start talking to him. We hit it off really well. Are you actually intimidated by this 11-year-old, Anon? You can tell me. I will laugh. I'll laugh a little bit. I started playing video games with him in his room, and Ella comes to join in. I'm like, what? Turns out Ella is a hardcore gamer. Then the feeling returns once more. Ella's sitting between me and Jake, and I'm trying to hide my boner under an N64 controller. That's good. Just rest it against the bottom of the middle handle. Nobody will notice. It can hit the Z trigger for you. That would be... I'm sorry. I feel like I'm cheating on Nicole once again. I start drooling as Ella kicks both of our asses in Mario Kart. Oh well. Ella rubs Jake's head, and then she turns to me and winks. I don't know what you guys were expecting. I forget how to speak English as I see her smug face right next to mine. Her piercing green eyes, her sharp pointy nose only a couple inches away from me, her cheeks red like apples after the rush and excitement of the game, tiny drops of sweat rolling down her delicate neck. My mouth is wide open. She starts laughing when she sees my face looking dumb as fuck. I only play adventure games anyway. Monkey Island and such. I try to bail out. Oh, is that right, Mr. Threepwood? Ella teases me. OMFG, I am about to drop dead. Yeah, she knows about Monkey Island. Hell yeah. Her mom calls us for dessert and coffee. I stay for another hour, and then her dad drives me back to my place. Next week, she called me and asked if I wanted to hang out. I was afraid of how fast I responded, yes! And she showed me the sights. We went to her favorite places, eating ice cream, hanging out in cafes and shit. Oh yeah, feeling super classy. About a month and a half into my stay in LA, I met a couple of her old friends. I could easily see that some of her high school boys were still in love with her, losing their minds over how lucky they are to see her once again. Some of them even eyeballed me before Ella told them that I was just a friend. Just a friend, she said, and for no reason at all, I felt as if my heart had just imploded. What was wrong with what she said? I mean, yeah, of course I was just a friend. It wasn't like I was friend-zoned or anything. She had a boyfriend, I had a girlfriend, so yeah, I was just a friend. But I was heartbroken, nonetheless. Stupid love chemicals. Such a fickle thing. We decided to go to the beach next week. So next week, 5 of Ella's friends and I were at the beach. 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 girls with like slutty thongs walking around all around us, but everyone was like, who gives a shit? I was the only horny dude checking out every piece of ass around us. Ella was wearing these loose summer pants and an old XL white t-shirt. We find a nice spot and get settled. Then Ella starts taking off her pants and shirt. Oh, I force myself to look elsewhere because it is so painful. I shit you not. Every goddamn person within a 50-foot radius starts looking. 10 out of 10 girls with tight asses and tig old biddies start cringing. I can see how jealous they feel. Men are... Then I say, fuck it. I'm gonna have to see your body eventually. No escape, and I look at her. Yeah, that's good copium, OP. Take a good hard look, because you have to, right? Just a pair of jet black bikinis. In them, the most unquestionably beautiful woman there ever was. Her wavy auburn hair streams to her broad but willowy shoulders. Sharp sunlight is glimmering on her bright green eyes. Her face is already tanned. Reddish spots formed over her soft cheeks, her petite pink lips, and her sharp, small, diamond chin. Both moisturized by tiny droplets of sweat, the elongated and tender tendons on her neckline flowed to the most beautiful and deep jugular notch, surrounded by her sharp clavicles, and then I see them. I don't think I've ever seen such breasts before. Not with my own eyes, not in pictures, not in real life. Slightly bigger than plump gray fruits. You mean grapefruits? So there grapefruits stood, smooth and solid, as if they were carved out of marble. They stand at attention, amused by the incompetence of frail gravity. at least for now. Her small nipples slightly protruding out of her bikini top like searchlights pointing way up into the sky. OP's so weird, bro. I don't know if we've ever had another poster that was this down bad. That's not true. My eyes hover over that sight for just a few seconds, and my eyes admire her chest like they had just seen the most beautiful work of art ever created. Then I look down, see her belly. She has a set of lightly defined muscles surrounding her tummy. Her waist is lean and forms a very elegant and gentle hourglass shape. As they connect to her curvy yet tight hips, another piece of black cloth covers the magnificent V shape. What's in there? Starts with a V. The sight of a barely concealed bulge on the cloth stops my heart for a second. It is an unbelievable awareness, knowing what's behind that cloth. There's a small opening beneath her crotch, and I can see the sandy beach in the background from between her legs. As the lengthy muscles on her thighs expand and contract and shiver and vibrate to the warm breeze of California, her small knees play around and her lower legs keep to the pace, and the tan muscles around her tibias enjoy the sunlight. Her feet dig shallow spots in the sand, the tip of her toes curl and point. Her heels ascend out of the sand and dance in the air. Ella. Words are empty. Yeah, I guess this is gonna happen. OP really wants this to happen. You're gonna break Pete's goddamn heart for no reason. I don't like this none too much. My eyes were fixed on Ella. Ella looks at me. She leans in with a funny smile on her face. Her youthful breasts come closer to my face than ever before. You are staring, Anon, she says calmly while giggling. My face turns into a Mexican tomato plantation. She walks by me towards the ocean, looks back with a smile warmer than the midday sun. Are you coming? And then she runs into the lukewarm water while bouncing her perfect fanny. Fanny! Yeah, she knows exactly what she's doing with that fanny. OP says in a minute, yeah. I wasn't about to display the biggest tent of my life in front of everyone. She voices a snappy laugh and starts backstroking away from the beach. I sit there and start reciting the multiplication tables as if I was in bed with Nicole trying to delay the inevitable. Moments later, I managed to join Ella. Sorry about before. I apologize sheepishly. Don't worry about it. You should have seen Pete's face when he first saw me in my underwear. My face when Ella in sexy underwear.jpg. That's what you took from her statement? We're not even thinking about Pete anymore. Poor Pete, the true victim of this story. And we're back to where we started. Good thing my tent is now underwater. I try to speak, but all I'm doing is keeping my mouth open without saying anything. Ella is laughing hysterically. Are you serious, Anon? Serious how? Are you seriously thinking of me in my underwear right now? It comes and goes. What the fuck am I saying? Ella laughs and splashes water in my face. Come on, underwear boy. Swim. She starts swimming, and I have nothing else to do but follow her. Are we sure she's not a siren? She's gonna lead you out to like a rocky shore and just shipwreck your little inflatable raft or whatever. A few moments later, she stops swimming and turns to me. Hey, did you call Nicole? You guys still talking, yeah? Buzzkill. Yeah. Why? Good. You keep doing that, and then you can imagine me in my underwear all you want. She chuckles like a prankster and starts swimming back. My mouth was like a keyboard with coffee spilled all over it. I followed her back to the beach. What does she mean by that? She wants me to fuck Nicole while thinking of her? That's the only thing she could possibly mean, right? I spent the rest of the day thinking strictly about Nicole, and thinking about Pete, and thinking about Ella. I really didn't have to think about Ella, since she was suntanning her gorgeous body right next to me. Before everyone went home, Ella asked me if I wanted to hang out with her next weekend. I accepted, naturally. After I went home, my dad called, Told me to get ready for a trip.
What?
Yeah, apparently I was supposed to go to Hong Kong. Hey, lit. This job thing's working out pretty well, isn't it? Turns out my dad is more well-connected than I previously believed. I had just a week left to spend in LA. Then it was time for Hong Kong. After I spoke to my dad, Pete called. His voice was all fucked up. He told me that Ella broke up with him a week ago. What? I switched to bro mode and started calling Ella a bitch and whatnot. It's probably not the way to go about it, but you're young, you're trying your best, I guess. Dude, stop, Pete said calmly. What? She was right. This wasn't going anywhere. How? What? Look, Anon, I got nothing that I could offer to her, Pete starts explaining. He told me how Ella was smarter than him and how it wasn't about sex or being an alpha or any of that crap. Basically, like everything else about her, Ella was not exactly your usual sorority girl. She was in her own alpha omega fuck you club. And Pete had nothing more than 4 months worth of fashion class and a few dirty jokes to show for an admission. Anyway, thought you should know, man. Take care. And he hung up. I was terrified when I realized that my first thought was, now what do I do with Nicole? Poor Nicole, dude. At least you guys are being honest about the situation, though. Everybody's breaking up. It'll sting for a little while, but it's not as bad as cheating. And OP's next thought after Nicole was, what the hell am I supposed to do in Hong Kong? Next week, I decided to ask Ella about what happened before we went to the museum. We met, kiss and hug. Sup, Anon? She's cheerful as usual. Sup, Ella? So, Pete called me. Her head becomes apologetically heavy. Sorry for not telling you, Anon. I didn't want you to think less of me before speaking to Pete first. Why? Ella looks at me, feeling stuck between her friendship with me and my friendship with Pete. It just wasn't working out, Anon. Things don't always work out. What did Pete say about me? Only good things. What did you tell him? Me? I was just trying to be a bro, I guess. Ella pouts. Sorry for putting you in that situation. This is the first time that I've seen Ella unable to drive the conversation. She looks way too submissive. I feel bad. Hey, look, it's okay. It's not my place to say anything. I tried to comfort her. Ella looks at me, almost waiting for my approval. And then I say, let's move on, shall we? Besides, we have a date. What? Ella blushes. I realize what I just said and how it might be so easily misunderstood. Okay. She doesn't push it and saves me from my own demise. We get inside the Natural History Museum and start wandering around aimlessly without talking. Bro, this is awkward as hell. Okay, fine. Let's die here together. Among all of these preserved dead things is now OP and Ella. And their little will they won't they relationship. Couldn't tell her that I was leaving for Hong Kong 2 days from now. Both of our minds are elsewhere. We get to the prehistoric section, see the dinosaur skeletons, and no, they don't walk. Open the door, get on the floor, everybody walk the dinosaur. Then we get to the early humans or some other stuff. I don't know. I don't remember why, but we stopped in front of this Neanderthal skull on display. We just looked at it. Kinda reminds me of something. You know, this looks familiar, I say without looking at Ella. Ella doesn't say anything at first, but then she loudly cracks out in evil laughter in the middle of the goddamn hall. She looks at me with a funny evil face, with a crackled, badly impersonated manly voice. I am a powerful demonic force. I'm the harbinger of your doom. Let me hear you scream in terror. I'm melting right now. I remember. She gives me a warm smile and starts laughing. I remember why that skull looks so familiar. She's fucking doing Murray from Monkey Island 3. My life is complete. .jpg. It could be, OP. It could be, but don't you dare goddamn make a move until you address all this with Nicole, alright? You gotta be a stand-up guy. Everyone is just looking at us like, WTF is wrong with these people? I get so excited that my hands start shaking. Oh, I think I did that a bit too loud, Ella whispers as she keeps chuckling. You played Monkey Island 3? I asked her, stammering. Oh, I love it, Anon, she grins. ... I figured you would remember Murray, you being the adventure gamer and all. I have nothing to say. At that moment, Ella stopped being a crush that I could hardly admit to, and turned into my life's goal that I had no idea what to do with. But for now, we just started talking about Monkey Island. Then, full throttle, Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis, all LucasArts games, old school adventures. We were cracking jokes, impersonating key characters, acting out funny moments. It got to the point of singing theme songs. That's when we realized that we were sitting next to a prehistoric animal in the middle of a museum, talking about weird games and such, like total nerds. Security is giving us funny looks. We laughed about it and decided it was about time to leave. Maybe OP and her do click better than her and Pete, but I'm still sad that it had to go the way that it went. And don't you dare goddamn leave Nicole in the lurch, OP. So it was getting late, sun was about to set. Hey Anon, come home with me and have dinner with us again. Ella grabbed my arm and asked me cheerfully. I'd love that. And so we went to her house once more. Her parents gladly welcomed me into their home. Jake was in summer camp or something. During dinner, all we could talk about was games, and anime, and comics. Yeah, the whole nerd 9 yards. Her mom and dad were giving each other smirky looks. I didn't care though. I was losing my mind. Ella, the perfect girl. Ella invited me into her room, and that was the first time that I'd seen Ella's room. Anime posters on the walls, cute bed sheets with girly flowers and stuff, a whole fucking bookcase full of vidya, her neatly folded clothes everywhere, a full repertoire of fashion that Pete studied to understand for a whole semester, a cute and girly elegance, and a hardcore and tomboyish geekdom. The best of both worlds, if there ever was such a thing. That's all any dude wants, really. Just wear a sundress and also talk to me about World of Warcraft. OP just says, I'm at a loss for words, with his mouth wide open. Ella chuckles and playfully punches my shoulder. Shut up! What were you expecting? Wall-to-wall posters of some boy band? No, I love it. I look around with a huge grin on my face. Good. Now I'm gonna beat your ass in Mario Kart again. Sit down. It's a little too domineering for my taste, but sure. Ella then forcibly seats me on the floor in front of a small TV. Huge amount of cute hearts gush out of all my bodily orifices. Ella goes over to Jake's room and brings the N64, and we start playing. This is heaven. Yeah, and I guess Nicole is still in purgatory, right? Come on, man. Ella kicks my ass in Mario Kart again, then we switch to SF. Is that Star Fox? And yes, she proceeds to kick my ass again. And then next, we try Split Screen 007, and guess what? She kicks my ass again. She fires up the PlayStation and starts showing me some Metal Gear Solid. I had never played Metal Gear Solid until then. Yeah, don't judge, okay? She starts telling me about the story, going crazy excited, shows me the controls, and starts watching as I fumble around, laughs at my stupidity and ineptness every now and then. I play and play, lose myself, immerse myself in the excellence of Metal Gear Solid. Then I pause the game and realize that she had fallen asleep with her head on my shoulder. Wow, great job, OP. You're really putting in some work here, aren't you? Her sweet vanilla and berry scent filling my lungs once more. She looks peaceful and happy. I quit the game and put down the controller. I gently embrace her exquisite body, putting my arms behind her back and under her beautiful legs. The thin veneer of her skirt rolls back, revealing her thighs. I carefully carry her to the bed, tuck her in, just look at her and appreciate her unbelievable beauty for a moment. It's 3 a.m. Her parents must already be asleep. I don't have any way of returning home. I turn off the TV and the lights, grab a pack of neatly folded t-shirts and use them as a makeshift pillow, and curl up on the floor. It's hard to fall asleep. The floor is too uncomfy. I hear shuffling behind me, and I figure she must be turning around in her sleep. Then I feel her hand on my back, then over my shoulder, and she rests on my chest, pulling up a thin sheet of blanket over both of us. Her small feet play around and curl up next to mine as she spoons me. I grab her cold hand and press it firmly against my chest. She mumbles and plants her face to the back of my neck, and I fall asleep madly in love. I mean, again, I'd like to be happy for you, but Nicole's still there waiting. It's wildly inappropriate. Next morning when I woke up, she was still sleeping. During the night, we ended up facing each other. When I opened my eyes, I found myself looking at her angelic face. Her hair was all over me. Her hand was still holding onto my shirt, like the time it was back on the plane. I could feel her breath on my lips. I wanted to stay there. More than anything, I wanted to just lay next to her forever. And I wanted to kiss her so much. But all I could think of was Nicole's face. I carefully reached for the phone in my pocket. Nicole left me a text. "Hey you, wanted to surprise you before you go to Hong Kong. I'm in LA. Call me when you wake up. I love you." Smiley face. Oh shit! .gif. Snap back to reality. Oh, it goes rabbit. I go pale. My mouth dries up. My heart starts beating to a fight or flight moment. I gently put Ella's hand down and back off without waking her up. I grab my things and exit the house without anyone noticing, and I call Nicole. She tells me to meet her on Venice Beach. Grab a bite to eat on the way, some coffee to wake up. The moment I see her, I realize the mistake that I've made. My hair's all messed up. I'm still wearing yesterday's clothes. I didn't even brush my teeth. And my entire body smells like Ella's perfume. Never go full artard.avi. It's too late. She sees me and starts running towards me and jumps into my arms. She digs her lips into my mouth, holds me tightly, then starts kissing me furiously, and then slows down, and then completely stops. Her hands and arms lose their grasp on me. She slowly pulls away. She gently pushes me back to take a better look at me. She sees the guilt and the fear on my face. Yep, here it comes. The stabbing that I told you about, here it comes. Her pupils dilate. She starts turning red. Her eyes fill with fury and anger like nothing I've ever seen before. Her right hand pulls back and flies into my face. It lands perfectly. My ears start ringing. My vision is blurred. She doesn't talk, and I don't have anything to say for myself. I just stay there with half of my face completely numb, unable to face her, unable to look her in the eyes. She slowly turns around and starts walking, then looks back. "Are you coming?" She looks at me with tear-filled, mad eyes. I obey and start following her. Oh, she doesn't want to do it in public. She wants to take you under the pier and then stab you. We sit on a bench overlooking Venice Beach. We sit there for a few minutes before she finally asks, "Did you sleep with her?" She doesn't look at me. "No." "Did you kiss her?" "No." She stops for a moment. I realize what's coming and it's too late. She turns to me with a face full of tears and anger. You're in love with her." I can't say anything. I just sit there. My head as low as it can go. "For how fucking long, Anan?" Her voice trembles. "How long?" she asks again, barely audible. I don't know." She hesitates for a moment and then starts talking again. "I should have known. For the past month, you were all that Ella could talk about, Anan." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I wake up to the shock of this revelation. "She talked to you about me?" I ask her, with a skeptical and messed up face. "Yeah." She opens her eyes wide, sarcastically. "Huh. Can you believe that? You became her number one friend, her confidant, her BFF." She violently finger quotes her snappish remark. I still don't have anything to say to Nicole. "Well, come on, Anan, grab your balls. What's happening right now? Don't let her hurt like this for no reason. Make the good words. You can't let it end like this." Nicole continues, "And I can't be angry at her for getting close to you, Anan." She stopped. "But you." She gets close to my face and puts her index finger sharply to my chest. You should have known better, tapping my chest with her finger. Answer me, Anon, she whispers. I still have nothing to say. Answer me! What? I turned to her. She jumped back with surprise. This was the first time that she had seen me scream at anyone, let alone her. What do you want me to say, Nicole? That I love her? That I care for her? That no matter how I feel about you, I can't control how I also feel about her? That even when you and I were just friends and Ella was with Pete, I couldn't help but feel a strong desire for her. Nicole didn't talk. She just stood there and watched me talk with a heartbroken face. What do you want me to say, Nicole? Now it was her turn to not speak. What do you want me to say? That the first thing I felt was relief when Pete told me that she broke up with him? Okay, she whispered and stared into the distance. I mean, it's not actually okay, but at least we avoided the stabbing. We continued to talk, getting angry at each other at times, but it was more upsetting than vexing. After an hour of furious argument, we were tired. Even when pissed off, Nicole didn't hold back her love for me. She got close to me and put her head on my shoulder, and we started watching the sunset. You know what, Anon? She spoke kindly, like a whisper. There really aren't enough sex tricks in the world to keep you away from Ella. I froze. I felt like a sharp object had pierced through my chest. And there isn't enough small jokes, bouquets of flowers, or boxes of chocolates that Pete can come to her door with. She sighed, so he could hold on to Ella. I couldn't speak. Couldn't breathe. And it's all right, Anon. No matter what we do, you guys were made for each other. She spoke as she gave in to reality. So you go ahead. I told you that you were mine until we both decided otherwise. And we both decided otherwise. You know that. I sat there, with Nicole's head on my shoulder, staring blankly into the crowd of people on Venice Beach. God, it does hurt. It's breaking me up a little bit. Knowing that there was no amount of rights that I could make to fix the wrong that I had done to Nicole, the person who had loved me so blindly, so vigorously, that even in the moment of her defeat, she still wanted what was best for me. Just do one last thing for me, she whispered. I turned my face to her, and I kissed her with a passion like I never have. She held my face in her small hands and broke our bond. Go, she said, trying to hold back her tears. Go. Before I change my mind, go! She started to cry. Holding her hand, I got up. I hesitantly started stepping away. Our arms stretched and reached their length as our fingertips grazed each other and broke away. I started walking backwards, looking at her, realizing what I had done, feeling like shit. Nicole wasn't looking at me. Her head dropped. The palms of her hands were trying to hide the tears. She was quietly sobbing. I gasped for air and forced myself away from her, trying not to think too hard about it, running away like an asshole. I must have walked for 3 hours, not knowing what to do. It was getting late, and I finally made my decision. I hailed a cab and gave the driver Ella's home address. I arrive at Ella's house. I approach her door, not knowing what to expect. I ring the bell. The door opens. My heart stops when I see her. She lowers the cell phone from her ear and looks at me. That was Nicole. She shakes the phone in her hand. Her beautiful green eyes are bloodshot, tears running down her face. She closes the door. Ella! I breathlessly shriek. I turn my back to her door. I start walking and then I collapse. I start crying like a little bitch. This is just too much. First Nicole and now Ella. The door quietly clicks open again. The afternoon sun casts a shadow over me. The shadow eagerly waits. What did she say to you? I can barely speak. That you loved me more than her, you stupid fuck. The cold hand grabs my collar and pulls me with force. I stumble and walk to Ella's door, following her stern pace, tears and snot on my face, ugly as hell. Then I pass through the doorway, and she turns around, violently slamming the door with a flick of her hand, and then she pins me to the shut door with force, stuffs my face with her lips. I guess that's the way it works out sometimes. Still breaks me up a little bit, but reality is cruel. OP says my heart is beating like a jackhammer. She just stays frozen, her lips nailed to mine, her chilled hands hanging from my collar. Her intense kiss gently becomes tender, and then she stops kissing me, clumsily wipes my wet face with her hands, sporadically chuckling her heart out while crying tears of joy. You look like shit, she laughs nervously. I smile and laugh too. Come on, you need a shower. She drags me to her bathroom and gives me fresh towels. I take a shower for about an hour, trying to calm my nerves and make sense of this calamity. I take way longer than usual, knowing that when I get out, I will have to face her and have a talk. I finally get out and wrap myself with the towels, go to her room. Ella is in her PJs. Her hair's wet. She must have had a shower too. She's sitting on her bed, all curled up, holding onto her legs. She has a deeply concerned look on her face. I sit next to her and stare at the wall, expecting a million questions. She simply says, "Go ahead and say it." I don't understand. I mean, say what? Say it, she tells me again with a calm voice. I love you. Good. She puts her hands on my face and her lips on mine and gives me the warmest, most gentle kiss I could have imagined. We fall back to the bed and she embraces me. Well, it's been a long journey, but I guess this is how it was supposed to end up. While Ella's freezing hands caress my skin like ice, her hot, soft lips brush against my face like a velvet cloth. I hold her tightly. She opens her arms and lays back, presents herself to me with an innocent smile on her face. I take my time and study her. I don't want to rush anything. My parents are gone for the day. We're all alone, she sings playfully. I have all the time in the world. I rub her tummy. I kiss the notch under her neck. She sighs. Ella holds onto me tightly and locks me into herself with her legs, and we stay like that for a long time, kissing and touching each other, enjoying the warmth of our bodies. She pulls her knees up, almost reaching my head. Using her toes, she carefully grips the edge of the towel on my waist and starts to slide it down, surgically. Oh, you've done this before, haven't you? Exposing me. Ella looks down and then looks up and flashes me a suggestive smirk. Her legs are gingerly dancing on my upper body. I can feel the muscles of her legs expanding and contracting as they move around. I slide my hand from her back to her bottom and feel the magnificent curvature of her strained hips. Catch the waist of the bottom of her PJs with my fingers, and I slowly pull them down along with her panties. I feel a gush of warmth in my hand. I touch her silky smooth bare bottom. Good, now give it a smack. She bites her lips and dives into my lips again. She kisses me strenuously this time. Hot air licks my face as she exhales from her small, pointy nose. And then I close my eyes, and I press my entire body against hers. We slowly curled up into each other, getting closer and closer. You would think that there's a physical limit to how close you can get to someone. That limit is really not as far apart as it might seem. There's a point where you fail to distinguish skin from skin. We hugged each other so tightly, grabbed onto each other for dear life. As if we somehow let go, we might fall to our deaths. We became one. I don't remember at which point we were actually quote-unquote having sex. With that amount of love and such a strong intimacy, you don't really understand what's going on. You don't need to pay attention to how you're satisfying yourself and your partner. It's not about tips and tricks anymore. Not about knowing what limb to touch or where to kiss or lick or do whatever. That level of unity transcends virtually every health magazine bullshit that you might read about sex or intimacy, and time itself loses all meaning. That night, I don't remember for how many hours. We were inseparable. We didn't say a word the entire time. No screaming, no loud noises, just heavy breathing. Lots of heavy breathing. The only thing that I cared about. Her hands weren't cold anymore. Her touch was warm to me for the first time. And the only memory I cherished more than anything else was the feeling that, as if we had known each other for all our lives. That night, Ella wasn't just a couple months old friend who I cheated on my girlfriend or betrayed my best buddy for. She was the one person dearest to me, above everyone else. Yeah, but only after a couple months, bro. Again, kinda cheapens the whole thing. She was my missing piece. After a long, long time had passed, I finally remember whispering, "I love you," and falling into the deepest, most relaxed sleep I have ever had. Now that's good coom. It was almost dawn when I woke up. Ella woke up with me. "I have to tell you something," I told her. "Oh my god, you still didn't tell her?" OP's just a fucking mess. She looked at me, scared and upset. "I have to go to Hong Kong for 2 months, today, and I won't be able to spend the rest of the summer with you." Whatever she was expecting, hearing this news apparently relieved her. She sighed and planted a passionate kiss on my cheek. "It's okay. We'll see each other in school," she whispered to me softly. "After all, I have you now." I couldn't have been happier. Hong Kong seemed like a punishment after everything that had happened, but I knew that Ella would wait for me. Ella sent me away, convinced me that if we spent even more time, or if she would have to come to LAX to see me off, the distance and the time would be even harder to bear, and I agreed. As I was dragging to my feet to leave her, I kissed her so much that she had to physically push me away. Giggling with a sleepy face, she said, "Go now, or you'll miss your flight." I went home, hastily packed my bags, and left for the airport. All I could think of was her. The cab driver had to ask me, "Where to?" like 3 times. I wonder if OP's gonna spend a couple months in Hong Kong and decide that he's like madly in love with somebody else that he's only known for a couple of months, you know? Maybe it is meant to be, but I cannot help but remain at least slightly skeptical about all this. OP continues. After I landed and got settled in Hong Kong, we started talking on Skype. It was new back then and the connection was shitty, but it was better than nothing. Every day we would talk, sometimes for hours. There was so much time difference. I was almost an entire day ahead of LA, but we made it work. Our intimacy was not limited to sex, and our friendship was more than just ambiguous flirting. The things we shared, the moments we lived, even though they were digital and thousands of miles apart, I was still in heaven. A month later, I came home from work one day and there was no response to my calls. Oh shit. This is the part where the bottom drops out. I figured she must be busy or out. Something else came up. I didn't think about it too much and went on with the rest of my day. Next day, same thing. Well, unless you are a seriously paranoid person, you don't think of worst case scenarios. Until your buddy calls you. Didn't remember how I responded to that. I still don't. I only know what Pete, Mom, and Dad told me. Turns out I dropped the phone and was unreachable for an hour. I don't know what happened in that hour. Then they say that I called my folks. By then, Pete told them already, and they knew I wasn't going to be able to make my way back on my own. Dude, what the fuck are you talking about? What's the big reveal? I'm a little lost in the sauce here. Somebody tell me what's going on. It's not good. That's what's going on. Nothing good. As I was speaking to or screaming to Mom, Dad was already buying plane tickets. I didn't realize my mom was crying on the phone, knowing her son was in so much pain and she was unable to help me. I was screaming so much my voice was all but gone. At some point my dad picked up the phone trying to calm me down. Years later I asked him once, just once, what actually happened that day. Never seen a man that white as he told me what happened, how terrified he was over how I was feeling. I asked him because the only thing I could remember was Pete telling me, "She's gone. She's gone." I tried to talk to Pete one more time before Dad arrived. That I do remember. You go numb after so much pain and start behaving like a robot. He knew that I wasn't going to be at the ceremony with him. We talked about things no one wants to know, but you just have to know. Like what happens to a car, traveling at 60 miles per hour when it gets rear-ended by another car and starts spinning and only stops when it wraps itself around a telephone pole. And I can surmise that all of that happened with a far too young Ella inside of it. It's fucked up, man. There was nothing that anyone would want to look at. No open casket, just a box. While her family was burying Ella, I was on a plane back to the States. I didn't have the power to go back to LA and be there with her family. I didn't want to go back to college and be all by myself. I just wanted to go home. A year has passed since Ella's death. Mom and Dad were trying to play it cool. Pete was really the only one keeping me sane. He too was affected by Ella's passing, but he was stronger. He didn't love Ella in the way that I did. Nicole was keeping her distance, avoiding me as best she could. On the anniversary of her death, I decided to visit Ella's grave. Got on a plane to LA. I still remember the first time I walked through those cemetery gates. It's never easy to visit the dead. I found her. I stayed there for an hour, just crying, not knowing what to say. I'm not a religious person, and I don't believe in the afterlife. I had this feeling inside me that no matter what I said, she wasn't there to see or hear. After a while, a boy walked up to me, her brother. Young Jake, too, had come to visit his sister, and we hugged. "You should come and visit my folks, Anon. They'll be happy to see you." I accepted his kind invitation. When we arrived at their home, the air was thick, filled with sorrow. Her mother smiled when she saw me, held me in her arms as if I was her own flesh and blood child. "Oh, I am happy to see you," she cried. They were relieved that they didn't have to be alone that day. Ella's father was already half drunk, but he was joyful when we started talking about Ella. Jake was sitting between his mom and dad. They wouldn't let go of his hands the entire time, drawing power from knowing that they're not alone, that Jake is still there after talking about Ella, reminiscing what little time I was able to spend with her, and her mom then showed me into Ella's room. The room was left untouched. Nothing was changed since we'd been there more than a year ago. Even her neatly folded clothes were still there on her chair, her Vidya archive, her anime posters on the walls. Her mom opened a drawer and took out a CD case and a letter and handed them to me. "I believe these are for you, Anon." She put them into my violently shaking hands. She kissed me on my forehead and left the room. I sat on the bed in which we had the chance to spend a single night together. One single night. I looked at the CD case and immediately burst into the tears that I was holding back before. Crying my eyes out, I started reading her letter, the letter that she couldn't send to Hong Kong. Pick related, it's the letter and the CD case. Sure enough, Curse of Monkey Island. "Anon, I hope you're doing well in Hong Kong. I miss you, and I'm carefully assuming that you miss me too, smiley face, but surprise! I got something for you. Unfortunately, this was the only copy I could find. It's a pirated version that I got from some Bulgarian guy on eBay, but it works just fine. If you get bored and your longing becomes unbearable, imagine yourself in the Caribbeans, and I shall help you save Elaine from the curse. Love from LA, your Murray, Ella." God damn, dude. Is this some heavy feels to unpack? After I read that letter, I was curled up in a fetal position on her bed, crying. The love and the loss were just too much. Someone slowly sat next to me, and I felt a familiar hand on my face. I put my head on her lap, while Nicole caressed my hair and calmed me down. "I'm here," she whispered, and hugged me as she too quietly cried. "You really messing me up. You don't have to do this. I know I was snarky. I know I sassed you, OP, but I'm sorry that you had to go through all this for real, man. This is absolutely heart-wrenching stuff. So next semester, Nicole and I got closer. She stopped avoiding me, and we became friends again. She understood what I had been through, and although I had broken her heart, she knew that I didn't mean to. She knew how much I loved Ella. She knew the love that I felt for Ella didn't mean that I didn't value her. 2 years later, we did start dating again. We moved to Chicago together. Another 2 years after that, we got married. And I slowly forgot about Ella. While organizing old stuff at our house, I came across Ella's letter and the Monkey Island 3 CD case. When I started feeling bad, Nicole convinced me to go and write this story down so I could get it off my chest. I don't want to read it, she said with a sad face. It'll be too much for me, but you have to write it down. Her love and care were heavenly. You need this, Anon. And indeed, I accepted. I truly do hope that this helped you cope in some way, because I don't know how many therapy sessions it would take, honestly. Last night, after I finished writing my story, Nicole convinced me to frame Ella's letter. I looked at her. I was almost about to cry. She gently held my face in her hands. It's good to remember, Anon. And she planted a tender kiss on my lips. She was a good person. You loved her, and she loved you. I don't even know what to say. I did frame the letter and put it on my nightstand. We got under the blankets on a cold winter's night, and we cuddled. She embraced me and placed her head on my chest and softly whispered into my ear, "You're mine, Anon, and I'm yours." And, as I've said before, she was almost asleep, with an amorous smile on her face. Until such a time comes that we both decide otherwise, nothing will change that. And I fell asleep next to the woman that I loved, embracing the woman that loves me. And that is the end of my story. Heavy feels, man. And what a poetic way to end it as well. I am moderately sure that Nicole didn't cut Ella's break lines or whatever it's supposed to be, but only moderately. Man, this story twisted me this way and that. It is one of the greatest Greentext ever written, and now I'm glad to add it to the channel. I hope that you guys enjoyed it as well. If you enjoyed this, maybe click on this playlist of other Greentexts that we have. Very few of them are this long, but you might find something that you enjoy. Always remember, friends, that you are loved, you are worthy, you definitely deserve it, and I shall see you in the next one. So until then, bye-bye.
It's only worth it if you work for it. I won't stop till they hear me now. I won't stop till I wear the crown.